Hello, everyone, and welcome to a bit of a different stream. Now, you're probably wondering, so what's this about home possibly coming back? Sit tight and I'll explain everything to you, right? Because there's lots to discuss, lots to go over. But in any case, I hope you all are having a good day, good night, good evening, whatever time of day it is for you. I hope you're having an amazing day or night, whatever it is for you. But I hope you're doing well. But anyway, so you're probably wondering. So, you're going to talk about the evidence that home is coming back, even though your stream is clearly titled Your Personal Wishlist. Yes, because I'll get to the wish list. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and get into that right now. So, my ideal wish list for a new version of PlayStation Home starts with number 1. Returning player benefits. You've seen it in GTA Online, you've seen it in various other games that have new versions, and more than likely, you know exactly what I'm talking about. If you don't know, again, a good example is GTA Online. Right. So, this is from way back in 2014, but this is a post that Rockstar made regarding the, at the time, next-gen version of GTA 5. Now it is previous gen because now we have the current-gen consoles, the PS5, Xbox Series X/S. And no, I'm not going to say PS5 Digital Edition because it's basically the same thing as the Series S. Anyway, so what returning players is, well, it's self-explanatory. Basically, if you're a player who had originally played the PS3 or 360 version of GTA 5, and you were crossing over to PS4, Xbox One, and PC, you would be able to get additional content. And you would also be able to transfer your GTA Online progress over to that new version of the game. And the reason why I bring this up, and how this correlates with PlayStation Home, is how this technology works is that all of your data in GTA Online and all of your data in GTA 5, your story mode progress and your GTA Online character and everything like that, is saved on servers. They're cloud servers, I think. And the reason why that is important is because it allows you to download that same content from those servers to the platform that it becomes applicable for. For example, PS3 to PS4, PS4 to PS5. Same thing with the Xbox 360 to Xbox One to Series X/S. And it also worked similarly with PC. Only you wouldn't have to worry about getting a new PC just to be able to take advantage of this. It was that your character for GTA Online would be linked with one platform, and you could then bring them over on PC. Now, the reason why I bring this up, and I know you're probably thinking, so you're saying that Home could do the same thing? Yes. Let me explain. So, for one, PlayStation Home, much like GTA Online, had servers, obviously. And I've said this before a few days ago during a live stream, but there was a YouTuber that I, at the moment, no longer watch because I grew tired of them speaking terribly about Xbox. Now, I'm not saying I'm an Xbot, as people call them. And I'm certainly not a diehard Sony fan that disses on Xbox and the opportunity I get. I love both brands equally. It's sort of like Nintendo. I used to like them more, but because of their somewhat shady business practices, it's made it to where I still love Nintendo, but not nearly as much as Sony and not as much as Xbox, you know. And PC, I played on PCs growing up, although I wasn't like a diehard fan of PCs because I had consoles as well. It was just that they're fun, you know? But basically, in that video that I was watching, at the very beginning rather, there was a loading bar that showed a message that was saying that this user's content was being saved to their servers. The reason why I bring this up is because this would most likely be the same situation as with GTA Online, where if you're a returning player, you would keep your stuff, and in the case of GTA Online, you would also get some new free items. Case in point, my first thing on the wish list would be returning player benefits and returning player content. So, for example, or not for example, but what I mean is that obviously the returning player would have all their stuff back, and because of the new engine for PlayStation Home, which is very much likely to be the Soho engine that's been worked on for quite a few years now, basically, games like, say for example, me, because I had Sonic Adventure 2 on the PlayStation 3, and the reason why that's important is because of the fact that whenever I played that game, I actually got a free t-shirt, which I'll show off right now. So this is actually the shirt. Wait, no it isn't. That's the shirt. Which I know it looks a little pixelated. But rest assured, wow, that's a weird voice crack. But that's what the shirt looked like. Because of the technology that we have nowadays, such as AI upscaling, which I know there have been bad uses of it, you know, GTA Dumb Definitive Edition, or as I usually call it, the Definitive Trilogy, because Grand Theft Auto, the Trilogy, the Definitive Edition. They could have just called it the Definitive Trilogy and called it a day, but as Rockstar were talking about, they recently released a membership program. Please don't buy it. Like, okay, I should mention, if you're buying it purely for demonstrational purposes for sake of a video, like, maybe you're showing off the new HSW Dev Estate that isn't out yet for everyone. That's okay, as long as it's for demonstrational purposes. But other than that, I just don't see any reason why the GTA Plus membership exists. Like, at all. But anyway, so going back to what I was saying, AI upscaling, if I may look it up. So basically, what it does is it actually bumps up a texture's resolution. So because of that, going back to that shirt, looking at it now, it looks kind of dated. But say you're a returning player who happened to have played at that Sonic game. What will happen is you'll get that shirt back, along with every other item that you got in PlayStation Home, whether it be bought, earned by playing a PS3 game, or earned by rewards from a minigame or something like that. But essentially, what would happen is that same shirt would look basically brand new because of the AI upscaling technology within the engine, assuming the Soho engine has that kind of capability. But that'll make it to where the actual image quality of the shirt, and I'm talking about like the images on the shirt, not the shirt itself. The shirt's obviously going to be of a higher quality than on PS3. But the actual image on the shirt will look like a sharp image. You know, like as good as this basically. So, while there have been cases where AI upscaling is not good, again, may I bring up the, by the way, not Rockstar developed, but Grove Street Games developed GTA Definitive Trilogy. They used AI upscaling and most of the textures looked, terrible. But anyway, so that's the first thing, is that returning player items, I guess what I'm trying to say is returning players will get their inventory back. Alongside that, they'll also get bonuses like brand new items to commemorate them returning to PlayStation Home. So that is item number 1 on my wish list, is returning player bonuses and player inventory being returned. I probably could have worded that a little bit better, but that's just the first thing that came to my mind. So, there's that. Number 2. So if I may look it up. Right. If I may bring it up. I'm trying to find it. Also, everyone actually liked the XMB. We all miss it. That looks cool. I'm trying to find it, but I can't. But essentially, PlayStation Home had its own, I guess the proper term in this situation would be in-game, but Home wasn't necessarily a game, but at the same time it was. So, let me elaborate. So, technically, Home itself was kind of a game. You had a character, you got to customize them, you got to play as them, you got to do all this fancy stuff. But it wasn't a game in the traditional sense. It wasn't like, oh, go to this place and fight bad guys. Go over here and race this guy and do something. No. Instead, it was, I guess Phil Harrison, who was the guy who originally created Home back in 2007, showing it off in 2007. He described it in an interview as Game 3.0. So it wasn't necessarily a game by itself, but considering the elements within PlayStation Home, it was a game within a game, basically. Because you had all these mini games, and you had your own avatar and stuff, and you got to play as them. but it wasn't a game in the traditional sense. It was more like a social gaming platform. In fact, that's literally what it was. But, yeah. So, the reason why I bring up the XMB is because of a feature that I could have sworn was in PlayStation Home, but I don't know if it was. Again, I don't know at all. Um, so, right. Um, Also, the new PlayStation Plus is not a joke. Look, I will admit, I do like watching Rich, Review Tech USA. He is a pretty cool guy. But I don't like this take. Reason being is because, in my opinion, I see no wrong with this new PlayStation Plus revamp. The reason being is because the way I see it, Extra and Premium, which are the higher tier options for Plus, are seen as more of a luxury, meaning you don't necessarily need them, but they're there if you want them. That's why the bottom tier is called Essential, is because that's all you need to get started. And it's still the same price as it ever was. Because for me, I still have the year-long one, so it'll be expiring next January. But anyway, what I was trying to find was the XMB menu on a PlayStation Home. So what it was is that it was essentially the same kind of menu as what you would see on the PS3, the home menu on that. But anyway, so the reason why I bring that up is because they could either keep that same menu or they could have a brand new menu. And the reason why I bring up the menu and what this has to do with this next item is they could have a brand new feature in PlayStation Home called the mailbox. Now, you're probably wondering, so how does this correlate exactly with the menu design that you were talking about? Whether it be remaining the same as it was on the PlayStation Home that I played, and this new one that, again, may be coming out. I'm not saying it will, but there is a pretty good chance. Especially considering the timing of this week and the upcoming news from Sony. I'll get to that in a moment. Anyway, so you're probably wondering, mailbox? What do you mean by mailbox? So, I don't mean like an actual physical mailbox that you would have to go to in PlayStation Home. It would be sort of like it's less of a mailbox and more like a giving/receiving. You have a friend who wants to give you an item. And I'll get to that at a later point in the wish list, because it has to do with a feature that I would hope would make it to PlayStation Home on PS5, but I'm not certain. So, what it is basically, say a friend of yours is wanting to get you an item, like a new clothing item, or a new furniture item for your apartment, or something like that. What they can do is, on the purchase screen for the item, it could have two options. Buy for myself, which, wait, no. it would just be purchase and then gift. In gift, it would allow you to purchase that item, and you could select who on your friends list, as long as they, play PlayStation Home. You'll be able to gift that to your friend, and vice versa, where they could do that to you. Which is a segue into the third item. Virtual currency. Now you're probably thinking, oh god, no, you're not going to talk about... Relax. I am staying far away from microtransactions. PlayStation Home was meant to be a free-to-play experience. Now, granted, it did have microtransactions where you actually had to use your PSN wallet money to actually buy items. I'm not saying I have a problem with that. It's just that for this new version of PlayStation Home, what I would like to see is a virtual currency system to replace that old monetization system where a player would have to use their PSN wallet money. Or if they had a bank account connected to the PSN account, then they'd be using that. The reason why I think it would be a better idea to stick to a virtual currency system instead of, remaining with that older monetization platform is because, think of it like this. Wouldn't you rather save your money to buy a new game on PSN than spending your hard-earned money on virtual items, which, mind you, the virtual items themselves are pretty cool. I'm not saying the items are worthless. They are not. They are very cool. It's a good way to accessorize your avatar, give them personality and stuff. But what I'm saying, however, is that for this new version of PlayStation Home, I would like to see a virtual currency system. And going back to the gifting system, what someone could do is they could actually gift you a set amount of PlayStation... I was about to say PlayStation Cash, because I've used that analogy a few times. Not really an analogy, it's more of a example of what it could be called. But it's purely up to the developers to decide what they want to call this virtual currency. They could call it home cash or something like that. But anyway, so they could choose however much they want to give you. Whether it be like preset options or just putting it in a little keypad thing. The fourth thing I would like to see is actually regarding the part of PlayStation Home that made me fall in love in the first place. Exploring. The reason why I bring this up is because, as many older PlayStation fans might know, especially those who have played PlayStation Home, you will know that PlayStation Home wasn't your average ordinary social gaming experience. It wasn't like, oh, you're in a chat room, oh, you're on Facebook, or like the PlayStation equivalent of that. No. If you're familiar with Second Life, then that's the closest comparison I could draw it to. So you have your avatar, which, again, fully customizable. You can change their body figure, you could change their gender, you could change their hairstyles, you could change everything about your avatar. Except, a few things, but I don't want to get into that because I don't want to make this into an NSFW stream, if you get what I mean. I already made a dirty joke there. But the other part of home that made it unique was the spaces you could go to. Now, by spaces, I don't mean, oh, you're in outer space. No. What it was that there were personal spaces, otherwise known as private spaces, apartments, whatever you want to call them. And they were your own personal spaces that you could freely customize, accessorize, personalize, all that stuff. And you could truly make it your own. And at the time, it was very advanced. And in fact, should a new version of PlayStation Home come out, they could either keep it the way it is, or they could revamp this system of house customization to have like all new things, such as like, say for example you bought a virtual TV in PlayStation Home, so that way you could watch videos and stuff. What you could do is you could either put that TV on the ground or on some kind of surface, or alternatively, if it's up against a wall, there could be a button prompt on the bottom of the screen that says mount to wall. And what it could do is it'll mount that TV screen to the wall, making it to where you don't have to worry about fiddling around with whatever you want to put it onto, because it'll be hanging on the wall, which will make it look very, very snazzy. But anyway, that's what a personal space is. Now, the public space, again, self-explanatory, much like the returning player bonuses. So public spaces were, well, just that. They were public areas where you could meet up with other players, make some friends, play some mini games, do whatever you wanted to do, basically. What I would like to see is new personal and public spaces and returning personal and public spaces. A good example of a returning personal space would be the iconic Harbor Studio apartment, which was given to all players in PlayStation Home, regardless of however long you were playing. So, it's actually the first place you would spawn at if it was your first time playing Home, because it would teach you the ropes of how to, use PlayStation Home. So it would teach you how to move your avatar, how to move the camera, how to customize your apartment, how to customize your avatar, all that stuff. And then it would let you do whatever you wanted to, and from there you could go to public spaces. And on the subject of the tutorial, and going back to the returning players thing, they would either make it actually like mandatory that players, both new and old for PlayStation Home, would do a tutorial if it's their first time playing the new version. Alternatively, if you're a returning player, the only thing it would do is it would ask you if you want to do a tutorial to teach you any new mechanics that have been added to Home. For example, like I said before, the mounting items to walls and all that stuff. Oh, you could also do the same thing on the floor too, where say you have a lamp that you want to set up in your apartment, but you don't want something to bump into it when you're playing around with something, or like a player bumps into it and makes it fall over. Instead, you could pardon me, you could mount it to the ground, or not mount, but fixate it to the ground to where it can't move. It could still be interacted with, but it won't be able to move around unless it's by your own command. I should also mention that I'm pretty sure that in the original PlayStation Home, if you had other players within your personal space, you couldn't customize it. Possibly because of the fact that you might impede them from going somewhere they might want to go to within your personal space. So, say you're currently at the Harbor Studio apartment and your friend wants to go to the balcony. You probably shouldn't be customizing your personal space while they're there, because for one, it would look... Because think of it like this. In real life... sorry about that. Phlegm in my throat. Anyway, so... In real life, would you want to walk in your friend's home and see them rearranging their furniture just to look presentable? No. Because that'd be kind of weird, and you would end up getting in their way sometimes. Not in a mean way, it's more like just in a common courtesy thing. But anyway, it would be much the same for, customizing your apartment in the new version. Anyway, right. So, another thing I would add in this new version of PlayStation Home. No, I'm still on the spaces thing. Oh, sorry. Um, I just hopped on his Twitter to see what's going on. Apparently, the Grammys are coming to Roblox. Oh boy. Anyway, so obviously the Harbor Studio apartment would be a returning public space, and again, like I said, if you're a returning player, the tutorial is optional. Yeah. Pardon me, but this is probably what I get for staying up real late past few nights because I've been excited about this week. I'll try to better myself. Anyway, but any other personal spaces that a returning player might have had before home closed, of course they would be logged onto the servers, on the servers, and it'd be given back to the player and all that stuff. Those personal spaces would be left how they were before home closed. Please note I said closed. Home was a beta. Perpetual beta, but still. Anyway, yeah. Anyway, returning public spaces is where it gets interesting. First things first. Hello. Anyway, the first returning public space I would love to see, partially because it was the first ever public space I ever went to, would be the Hub. Now, if you're unaware of what the Hub was, so when Home first launched, there was the Home Square, which in 2011 was then replaced with the Hub. Let me show some images. So, by the way, that was from the GDC 2007 thing. And anyway, we're actually going to go to your PlayStation Home. So, this place. Whoops. So, here we are with different views of the Hub. So, this right here is what I would like to call the hangout area, because this basically what it was. It was a small, roughly square-shaped area where you could hang out, listen to the music that played there. Not copyrighted music, by the way. At all. The music that played in Home, unless it was from a commercial, was more than likely not copyrighted. At all. Because the music that played in these kinds of areas, like the little hangout area right there, that music was made for home. It wasn't made by big name musicians. It was made by people that were commissioned by PlayStation to make music for these areas. But anyway, here's another view. I have no idea what the hell that thing is. Then you start to see the camera turn a little bit, and this right here, you can't really tell straight away, but this would actually be a pathway that would lead to the hangout area. See right here. But what's really cool about the hub, and there was a video that was uploaded in 2011. It's still available, by the way, where the director for PlayStation Home, like the project director, put out a video talking about what you can expect from a rebooted version of Home, or the rebooted version. And bear in mind, this was from 2011, so it was long before PlayStation Home closed. But what they mean by a reboot is that it revamped the actual service itself. So it had different stuff. It was still the same core experience, but a lot of things changed. But the hub itself was described to be the central point for PlayStation Home, like the central location. Hence the name hub. And what would happen is you would have things like this Dinosaur Valley thing right here. But whenever the hub first came up, there was a minigame called Cogs, which, if you've ever played any of those sliding puzzles where, say there's a puzzle right in front of me and there's these sliding tiles and stuff, you would have to rearrange them in a certain way in Cogs that would make all the, cogs start to turn and move. And you would have to do this a multitude of times in order to beat it. And yeah. Obviously the PS4 thing was not there whenever I started playing on PlayStation Home because, truth be told, I joined PSN December of 2012. So PS4 wasn't even, announced yet. Or maybe it was, I don't remember. Because I know what Sony did for the PS5 was, towards the end of 2019, they had announced that the PS5 was coming out holiday 2020, which then turned out to be November 2020, as you might be able to tell. But this was only here, 2014, I think? I don't remember. But originally, what was supposed to be here before this was actually a thing called VIP. And it was reserved for players like me, current day, not back in the day, that had PlayStation Plus. Now, bear in mind, PlayStation Plus wasn't required on PS3 like it is nowadays on PS4 and PS5. Even though free-to-play games are free-to-play, so you don't need Plus. Good. However, Plus would give you additional benefits on certain items. It would give you free items in PlayStation Home, all that stuff. Now, again, I should say that at the time, whenever I played PlayStation Home, I didn't know what Plus was. Right? Knew very little about it. And it was only whenever I got the PS4 that I actually had to get it, and so I became familiarized with it. But before then, I just stuck with getting PSN cards every now and again and all that stuff. But VIP was where Plus members could actually get additional items. That right over there, you can't really tell, but that is games, where you could buy games for PlayStation Home. That right there is actually a shop called Home Estate, and what it would let you do is you, as the name would imply, would let you buy new personal spaces. Over here we got Threads, which was a clothing store. And I think that's it. Oh yeah, and That right there is a big TV screen. I mean, duh. But you're probably wondering, what do they do? Show movies? No. You see, every single week in PlayStation Home, leading up until their final broadcast of this, they would have a virtual item showcase that would show off new items that were added weekly to PlayStation Home. So whether it be a new outfit, some new clothing items, a new locomotion item, which you're probably wondering what a locomotion item is, and I know I'm going off on a tangent before talking about what I would change about the hub for the, returning public spaces. But essentially, what a locomotion item was in PlayStation Home was something that would allow you to move slightly faster than your normal avatar's top speed when running. Because when they're running, they aren't like super fast, but they aren't slow. But if you have a locomotion item, they actually boost your movement speed, and some of them even have speed boosts, where you would hold down the square button in order to get a speed boost. Now I should mention that whenever I say that these items give you a slight speed boost alongside the actual speed boost button, I'm not saying it's going to be like, because this is your avatar running. And this is the locomotion item. It moves faster, but not tremendously fast. Like we're not talking about driving in a Formula 1 level fast speeds here. We're talking about something that could let you move quicker without it being too quick that it becomes uncontrollable. Anyway, so yeah. Now, as for what I would change with the hub. So, I have two ideas. One of them is, and the second idea I actually just came up with, like just now, because I was looking at this oval-shaped cutout right here. You can kind of see what I'm looking at. The first idea is to expand the total size, or not total size, but the overall size of the hangout area right here to where it's larger so it could accommodate more players. I should also mention that players themselves didn't have any collision detection where you wouldn't bump into them and not be able to move. Instead, if you were walking towards another player and walked into them, instead of like bumping into another and not being able to move anywhere unless you moved away, instead their avatar on your end would be like to you it look like you're pushing them, but you're actually not, because they snap back to their original position. But if they're moving and they try to go through you instead, their avatar will look like they sort of like like it's not them trying to go like weaving in and out. What it is that so you won't go through them like a ghost. So they do technically have a collision detection, but it's not like you bump into them and you can't move unless you move away or beside them. Instead, what it is even if you try to move directly into them, their avatar will just simply snap out of their position and then snap back into it once you move away. And it happens instantaneously too, so you'll move into them, and then the second that you step out of where they are, then they go back to where they were. And I should mention that Home itself didn't really have any PvP outside of minigames, so you don't have to worry about damaging people, you don't have to worry about glitching them. It's just, that was how they programmed how avatars would react if another avatar walked into them. So it's not you bullying them, it's not you pushing them around or anything like that. It's just how they designed it to where players, even if they were in a crowded area, they could still make their way through without being blocked out or blocked in. But anyway, so the hangout area right here, I would expand it, and in the middle, it could have the same thing as this spot right here. So that way, in case there's a new minigame that's out that would be associated with a new public space, you could interact with that little thing in the middle of the hangout area, and you would be able to go there. Anyway, another view. By the way, Home Tycoon actually got a direct successor of sorts in the form of Big City Stories. Well, it's actually more of a spiritual successor because it's still basically the same game, but it's not in PlayStation Home. It's made by the same developers, though, Hellfire Games. Oh, here's another view of what was the VIP spot. There is the, I don't know what exactly I would call this spot, but yeah, there's Home Estates right there, there's Threads. There's another view of that, which by the way, if you look very closely, that heavily resembles the rear end of a PS4. This right here, this screen, that's not another big screen where you can watch trailers. That is actually the activity center, or activity board. I just remember the name. You're probably thinking, activity board? What does that do? So what the activity board is it would give players quests. And I'm not talking quests like, slay this dragon, fight these dwarves, race over there and save the princess, brah. No. It would have specific objectives that you could do that were tied to things you could do within PlayStation Home. For example, and I'll get to the second returning space in a moment, but I'll say its name real quick. Say it tells you to go to Pier Park. Again, I'll get to that place in a moment and talk about what I would change about it, and I'll show pictures of what it originally looked like. But basically, say it tells you to go to Pier Park and ride the Ferris wheel. That's all. Just ride the Ferris wheel, make it do one full rotation, and that's it. There you go. Quest done. That's basically what it was. And sometimes it could be a simple quest like that, but other times it could be a narrative style quest where it's a series of quests that you have to do in order to get a big reward at the end. And I think they even had one for the launch of this new version of PlayStation Home they had on PS3. I should also mention that, on a sad note, Home is not on PS4. There is a good reason, though. PlayStation Home was in a beta, and to bring something that was in beta over to a new platform, it may bring some unintended consequences. Not only that, but nothing much would change outside of maybe the game looking a little bit better. But at the same time, I think the developers wanted to hold off on bringing Home out of beta for a platform that could actually do it a better justice. Case in point, I was trying to turn my monitor, but if you look over there, right there, PS5, it has the capabilities to make Home reach its full potential. The SSD Near instantaneous load times, meaning you could go from Harbor Studio to the Hub or Pier Park in like 2 seconds. You don't even have to wait that long, because on PS3 you would have to wait like 15 or so seconds, which granted that was still not very long, but it was also tied with your connection status to, Wi-Fi and stuff. Although wired connections obviously gave it a better experience, but I digress. Um, yeah. So another thing is in PlayStation Home for PS3, you would actually have to download new spaces you were going to, because of the fact that you had to download spaces. It could potentially bog down your PS3's hard drive. On PS5, however, they completely mitigate that because it'll be on cloud servers, meaning that the data will be streamed to your system. So it's not the same as cloud streaming, it's just the data is being transmitted over to your PS5 instead of you having to download it. So I think the proper term is an integrated I/O. So the developer is in charge of the game, or service in this case. They could remove any data that isn't necessary for whenever you're playing, and then put that data back whenever you're back to that other personal or public space. So say for example you want to go to a new space. Instead of downloading it, it'll let you just go there within a few seconds, and instead of downloading that space, you're already there. You don't have to worry about downloading it because that data is already, streamed to your console, and the space you were previously in is streamed out, but it'll be streamed back in whenever you go back in. So the new spaces and old spaces that I'll be talking about would have that capability. Anyway, there's the games thing. Dinosaur butt. Oh, this thing. I believe this right here was actually a screen that showed what this was. That is I think it was called the teleporter or transporter, but it would allow you to go to different spaces, whether they be game spaces where minigames were, or actually they were tied directly to a minigame, or just regular public spaces that may or may not have minigames within them, depending on what's in them. But that's what that was, and of course that's going to be making a comeback, because why wouldn't it? Mall. I'll get to the mall in a moment. Also, that place that you saw right over here was Threads, and that's where, like I said before, you could get clothing. Anyway, here's the... Oh, there's Threads. Oh, Prehistoric Canyon, I think is what that was called. I think that was a personal space, if I'm not mistaken. There's another view of Threads. I should also mention that due to the power of the PS5 and the various types of technologies it has, like ray tracing, say the hub itself makes a return with very little changes or very big changes, whatever. The glass panels of the stores would actually have actual reflections instead of just crude reflections. Also, if you hear any noise in the background, I apologize. Home estates. I already talked about that. By the way, these benches, you could actually sit on them. And I think they had enough space to have another person sit, so if you wanted to sit down and chat with a friend, you could. Very nice. There's another view of that. Sadly, I couldn't find a photo, or there isn't a, yeah. But if you want to see what yeah, so that little center spot in the hub, that had that at some point. Um, anyway, so, um, trying to find, okay. I can't find the thing I was looking for, but rest assured, there was a thing called VIP in the hub. The PS4 thing didn't show up until I think it was right when the PS4 was about to come out. But the VIP thing, if you're ever curious about what it looked like, it was a gold-plated store. No, I'm serious. It was actually gold-plated. It looked cool, and I'm pretty sure that with PS5 and the ray tracing and stuff, it could actually have realistic reflections this time. Or maybe it'll still look different, but again, I digress. Um, yeah. No, there wasn't. I'm not sure quietly is the right word for it. They literally frickin' announced it. Also, yeah, it was fans that revived the old service, but Sony can make a new one, and there's lots of evidence. Now, if you'll excuse me, I need to go to the restroom. My bladder feels like it's about to implode on itself. One moment. Actually, a couple of moments. I don't know. Ow! That hurt. Of course. Oh my God. Pardon me, I got a text. Not a bad text, just... Apparently our ice maker doesn't work again, even though I'm pretty sure we fixed it. Anyway, alright, anyway, so the next public space I would like to bring up, speaking of the hub and its associated location, the mall. The mall. Now, in the redesign for PlayStation Home, otherwise, revamp, reboot, whatever the hell you want to call it, it was a two-floored location, although each floor was its own space, but it had a lot of shops, depending on whatever players wanted to see, something from Konami, something from any of the partner developers for PlayStation Home, all that stuff. The thing I would change is that I would make it one consolidated space with two floors that you could just travel between just by riding an elevator or a staircase. Going up the staircase, going down the staircase. And of course it would have a whole lot more stores. And I'm not saying that it needs to be like one gigantic open space. It could still be like a decently sized space without being too tremendously big. But it could be populated with all different types of stores that could be added, updated, stuff like that. And that's basically all I have to say about the mall as a returning space. Would just be a redesigned space. But it's still the same purpose. Now, here is where it gets interesting. Because there are, like I said with the hub, associated spaces with this one. Pier Park. So, that right there is Pier Park. So, Pier Park exactly... I don't know why I said it that way. Pier Park was essentially a smaller but still nice... Actually, it was very nice. It was a boardwalk area that was seemingly in dusk time. So it was at dusk, so you could see a beautiful sunset. They had a Ferris wheel. I'll get to that in a moment. This right here would lead you to a public space called Indy Park, where you could see various different mini games and whatnot. Again, if I go to the, I'm trying to find it. Is this it? So, the Pier Park was basically a place to relax, hang out, have fun. There was a dance floor that you could listen to music and dance. But, the Ferris wheel, I would update the appearance to be more akin to, and this is kind of an odd example, but, and no, I'm not going to say the London Eye because that'd be on the nose considering the fact that the developers of PlayStation were from London and still are. I'm not saying that they moved. Anyway, basically, the Ferris wheel. I don't know why it's so. I think it's because at some point I'm going to be getting to new public spaces and stuff. And there was something regarding a lucky wheel, which you might be able to tell. Anyway, getting back to the subject at hand. What I would do for the Ferris wheel is make its appearance updated to be more akin to the Ferris wheel you would see on, say, Del Perro Pier in a GTA 5 and online, or what it's based on. Hold on. I typed too fast. But the wheel itself, the Pacific wheel. Yeah, look. That's what I mean. The lighting. Look at that. They could do that. Because, granted, it was already lit up, but they could definitely make it look prettier. I'm not saying that this thing didn't look pretty. It looked freaking awesome. But, yeah. Anyway, so Indie Park. Right. Right. So Indie Park. So Indie Park, which by the way, this building, believe it or not, that was actually what Indie Park was that building. Um, but it was for indie developers who wanted to showcase games in that space. Um, Anyway, so Pier Park, Indy Park, yeah. Oh, this, okay, so they don't even need to change anything about this. Anything. And you're probably wondering, wait, why not? What do you mean? Well, reason being is because, what's there to change? Actually, no. So, the playground itself, it didn't have any of those big screens, but it was used in various virtual item showcases, which are those videos I talked about that you could watch on the on the screens. And occasionally, they would actually have avatars within that space showcasing new items, whether it be like clothing, locomotion items, stuff like that. Yeah. So. But I wouldn't change anything about the playground. Of course, it would look way better. There's no doubt about that. Oh my god, that's pretty funny. So there was this news story that came up recently, and by the way, I fucking hate crypto. Let me just say that right here now. But the reason why I bring that up is because there was a crypto heist of like over $600 million in crypto that was robbed from someplace. Good! Crypto sucks. Like, it honestly sucks. NFTs especially. And I've stated my reasoning as to why. But here's my question. Specifically to the person who once told me that it was a personality to hate such a thing. What the fuck are you talking about? Crypto is not necessary at all. Crypto is not important in any capacity. Neither are NFTs, the blockchain, or anything along those lines. Cryptocurrency and anything it regards are nothing more than fucking nonsense. They're worthless. That's all I'm gonna say. Alright? So, before anyone starts saying, oh, they need to have NFTs in PlayStation Home. No, they fucking don't. No, they don't. NFTs should not be on a gaming social platform. It should be in that metaverse doohickey thing. Good God, I'm 25 years old and I feel old. But basically what I'm saying is NFTs do not belong in a social gaming platform. Because what would you use them for? Huh? Nothing! You can't do anything with an NFT. At all. Okay? Because that's like if someone came up to you and asked you, hey, do you want to buy this chocolate bar? Just pretend I'm holding a chocolate bar and I'm the salesman. Hey, you, do you want to buy a chocolate bar? This right here? Well, what I need you to do is... Can I have your email real quick? And, $25? And then, like, they put in your email, and then, thanks, you just bought a digital version of this thing. It's worthless. Bye, bitch. That's literally what an NFT is. There is no value whatsoever with NFTs. You crypto creeps may claim that there are special things with NFTs. No, there aren't. You may claim that they are unique. What's so unique about them? They all look the frickin' same. Alright? Got your boring apes, your lame lions, all that stuff. Keep that shit away from me. Keep that shit away from the general public. Keep that shit away from the internet in all of its entirety. Because soon enough, they're gonna start cramming this shit down people's throats like, hey, you can't be cool without an NFT. You're saying that I'm a nobody without what is essentially a glorified JPEG that's tied to a hyperlink? That, oh, I don't know, screenshot it? Yeah, and they always act like, hey, you can't do that. It's not against the law, is it? What are you gonna do? Call the cops and tell someone that someone stole your precious NFT? The cops are probably gonna look completely perplexed about what an NFT is. You'll have to explain it to them, tell them what happened, and they're gonna be like, so let me get this straight. You're upset that this one person on the internet screenshotted a picture of yours? Yes, it's unique. It's not theirs. It's thievery. Is it still there on your device, sir? Well, yeah, but it's not thievery. Shut the fuck up and go to sleep. You're a big titty baby. There we go. Anyway, now that little tirade is over with, and now that I'm done switching legs to sit somewhat crisscross applesauce. Anyway, yeah, so again, the playground, I wouldn't change much. Maybe add a big screen anyway. If I had to take a guess where they could put that big screen, probably near where they have that horse minigame. And I don't mean horse like horseback riding. There was a basketball minigame in PlayStation Home called Horse. Horse. Which was pretty cool actually. Anyway, so now that we've talked about a few returning spaces and what I would change, actually, no, we're not done. Indie Park, I wouldn't change much. It could still keep that same appearance. But, how about, going back to Pier Park. I would massively redesign it. Now, the main area, like the Ferris wheel and the spawn area, the area where the Indie Park is, there's also a theater that you can access from there, and the sports walk, which is pretty cool actually. But anyway, so basically, things I would add. They'll need to sort of make the boardwalk bigger. And by sort of, I mean really make it bigger. I'm talking a massive area added to the Pier Park. The reason being is because they could add a roller coaster, some go-karts, maybe a bumper car game, some arcade games, some other mini games, all that stuff. That way, if someone has a quest they could do there, they could do that quest and they don't have to worry about, not being able to do it. I don't know. Anyway, so now let's talk about new public spaces. And as I mentioned, I did say something about a lucky wheel. The Diamond Casino and Resort from GTA Online. Okay. Oh look, a Michael Bay movie, which means 95% explosions, 5% hot chicks. Or I'm sorry, 50% of both. Anyway, yeah, so this could be a new public space, and they could also have some other casino spaces. I should mention, however, any countries that are disallowing gambling, casino public spaces and PlayStation Home wouldn't be accessible. Sorry to say that, but it's the truth. But anyway, getting back to the subject, the Diamond Casino and Resort. Now, I've talked about this before when it comes to what I would hope to see if it makes its way to a theoretical PS5 version of PlayStation Home. But the things I haven't talked about is the rewards you could get from playing the minigames. And I already kind of talked about the podium and the lucky wheel, but I'll get back to that to talk about what this place could be for a new public space. So, oh right, returning spaces. One more. Bowling alley. I completely freaking forgot that. I wouldn't change a damn thing. Right? I would not change a single thing about the bowling alley in PlayStation Home should PlayStation Home make its way to PS5. Because it was perfect enough as is. The only thing I would really change is the little rooms where the arcade machines would be. They can make them bigger, maybe like a slightly different shape to accommodate more machines. So they could have more arcade machines that are either brand new or stuff. Yeah. So, let's talk about the Diamond Casino and Resort. I need to stop talking so fast because that's why I stutter so much. It's because I often speak before I can think. Like I did just now. Anyway, so as you're aware, PlayStation Home will give you rewards depending on minigames that you play, whatever you do within them. It was much the same with a certain other casino that was in the original PlayStation Home called the Paradise Springs Casino and Resort. Yeah, I think that's what the name was. Yeah, Paradise Springs. Very pretty name, by the way. Basically, you would get certain items for your avatar depending on what you've done in the casino. it could be much the same with the Diamond Casino and Resort, where depending on how well you play, and say for example, it's your first time playing any one of the gambling games in the casino. Just for that, you could get a corresponding t-shirt that says, I played so-and-so, I did this, I did that. For the Lucky Wheel, if it's your first time interacting with the Lucky Wheel in the PlayStation version of the Diamond Casino Resort, you could get a special shirt that shows the Lucky Wheel, and it could have like curved letters that say Lucky and then Wheel. And of course it would even have the symbols that I'm about to get into after a little bit. Obviously the music locker would also be there. It wouldn't have the same music as from the actual game. The reason being is because, think about it like this. What if a player who is playing the new version of PlayStation Home goes to the Diamond Casino and Resort and there's copyrighted music playing, and they just so happen to be doing a live stream? Copyright claims out the wazoo, that's what would happen. But if they have specific music made for those places, you know, the music locker having nightclub themed music, and the actual casino lobby itself having just casino music, I guess, then it'll make things fine. Anyway, obviously all the casino games that you would see in the actual Diamond Casino and Resort and GTA 5, or online, I mean, not 5. Because canonically the story for GTA Online takes place present day right now. Right this second! Anyway, what I was trying to say is all the gambling games would still be there. You know, all the casino games. Yes, even the inside track, which, by the way, if you just play it, you'll get I played the inside track, and if you manage to win, you'll actually get a horse locomotion item. However, the Diamond Casino and Resort, due to the fact that in PlayStation, I almost said PlayStation Home again. In GTA Online, it only allows you to walk. Locomotion items would be disabled within the actual casino. You could use them on the roof terrace, but not in the casino and not in the music locker. Anyway, so the Lucky Wheel. Yeah. So, oh yeah, by the way, you would be able to freely take photos within the Diamond Casino and Resort and PlayStation Home. Unlike in GTA Online, where outside of a certain mission, where you have to scope it out a little bit, you'd be thrown out after taking a few photos. 5. Anyway, will this dude shut up? Here it is. So, the Lucky Wheel. I've already talked about this before in another stream. I think it was either on Twitch or YouTube or both. Anyway, the things I would change. These are all based on for one, my experience with the casino spaces in the original home, and my own ideas of a new version of PlayStation Home in general. So, first thing I would change is this one. Now, in GTA Online, this makes sense. RP, reputation points. In the PlayStation Home version, it would be changed to XP because there would be an experience point system within the Diamond Casino and Resort that would give you different items depending on what levels you reach. And of course, it would be much the same in terms of that cash. It would be changed to represent whatever the virtual currency system would be in PlayStation Home, should they choose to do that. Alternatively, what could happen is, anytime you land on this, if you own GTA 5 on the PS5, and you have a character set up in GTA Online, you would earn whatever money that you get from this. So, either way, you'll be getting money. Not in real life, though. Chips, self-explanatory, same thing. Clothing, obviously. Vehicle discount. This one will be different. So, in the PlayStation Home version of this public space, it would be changed to be store discount instead of vehicle discount. And what it would do is, it would still be a 10% discount, but it won't be on a vehicle like in GTA Online. It would be on whatever applicable shop it gives you a discount for. So say, for example, it gives you a 10% discount on something in Threads. Like, it'll say 10% discount, and then in parentheses it would say Threads. It would let you use that 10% discount on whatever item you want to get in Threads. Mystery! Pretty much self-explanatory, except for the fact that it's not. So, it would either give you the virtual currency, chips, a random clothing item, a discount, or a random item. I'm kidding. So, instead of giving you a random clothing item, it would just be a random item. So it could be like a clothing item, it could be a furniture item, it could be a locomotion item, it could be anything like that. Oh, yeah. Then we have this. Vehicle. This would be changed to prize. That's it, prize. It would show an icon of a gift box. And what would happen is, in GTA Online, it would be represented by the same car icon that you would typically see in the minimap. Except if it was like a weaponized vehicle. In case for the PlayStation Home version of the Lucky Wheel, it would be changed to item. And how this would work is, on the podium, instead of a vehicle, it would actually be whatever item is associated with the prize icon. So say, for example, it's a clothing set, and there would be mannequins that are wearing that clothing set. Male and female. Or if it's a locomotion item, it would be whatever the locomotion item is, with a mannequin positioned on or with that locomotion item. So, for example, if the locomotion item is like the Oppressor Mark II, don't worry, you won't be able to greet people in PlayStation Home with that thing. It's a locomotion item. It's not meant to be evil. You would be able to freely change whatever weapons you want to show on there, though, but that's about it. Anyway, so It could either be a clothing set, it could be a locomotion item, furniture set. The furniture would be neatly arranged on the podium to make it look all nice and tidy. You could have a mannequin or two sitting on a chair or something in different poses to show off what it is. Right. Last thing is interesting. Personal spaces. Now, in Home Estates, that store that I was talking about, if you looked closely, like through the glass, you would see different 3D models of different personal spaces. I don't mean like 3D models like, oh, it's just an object that you pick up. It was literally something that looked like someone made a plaster resin thing, or not, like a plaster mold, or like a molded version of whatever personal space. I don't know why I keep messing up there. It would be it looked like it was a sculpted item that looked like the personal space. Finally, I nailed it. In this case, it would be that same thing, but it would actually have detail. So, for example, say you win a mansion. It would be fully detailed with the different colors and all that stuff. And yeah. Now, how would the Lucky Wheel work in PlayStation Home? It's got to work differently from GTA Online in more ways than just changing the icons and whatever you get, right? Yes. So, this idea came to me as a inspiration from the iconic Forza Horizon games. So, in Forza Horizon, and I'm pretty sure this was in every single release of that game series, it would let you spin a sort of like a slot machine thing. Or, no. It was a wheel. But what you would do is you would spin this wheel, and it was like, and it would show whatever you want. But you would also have multiple spins, so it wouldn't be once per day. I think those were called spin passes, and they could call it the same thing for PlayStation Home's version of the Lucky Wheel. So what the spin pass would be in this case, or no, they could call it the Lucky Pass or something like that. And what could happen is, much like GTA Online, just spinning the wheel by itself without any spin passes would prompt you to wait another full real-life day in order to spin the wheel again. Should you have any spin passes, however, you'll be able to spin the wheel after the countdown has started. If you have a whole bunch of these spin passes, you could spin the wheel over and over and over without having to worry about resetting the timer and then waiting for another time. So, say for example, you spun the Lucky Wheel at 8:30 a.m. and now you have to wait another full day to spin it again. If you have the Lucky Wheel spin passes, you would be able to spin the wheel even after that countdown has started, and the countdown would just proceed as normal without being reset by each subsequent spin. So, yeah. Anyway, so what they would have to do for the Lucky Wheel in announcing what it is, like what's on the Lucky Wheel, it would either be Rockstar, since the Diamond Casino and Resort is their property and they're permitting PlayStation to have it in-home, or alternatively, it could be in a video, which, by the way, the roof terrace would have one of those big screens, and it would show some trailers regarding anything Rockstar does and some PlayStation Home stuff. But on that screen, they would also show what's currently on the Lucky Wheel. So, yeah. Anyway, yeah, so, excuse me. Now, the final thing on my wish list is actually something that you might be a little confused by. And this is actually in regards to the near future, like from this very moment. So, as you might already have known, Spartacus was announced today, and it's in the form of the new PlayStation Plus revamp, where they have the 3 tiers. I'm currently on Essential, so it would still be in effect as of June. I almost said July. But, they also had Extra and Premium, which, again, as I said at the very beginning of the stream, I would view those as more of a luxury than actually a necessity. Because they're there if you want them, but you don't necessarily need them in order to play online with your buddies if you want to play something like Call of Duty or something. All you need is the Essential and you're golden. Anyway, now, there's been numerous reports, however, that this isn't the only announcement Sony has up their sleeve this week. In fact, there's a lot more we can expect. Nothing explicitly stated from those people who have said that, but considering the timing of these announcements, my last thing on the wish list is a bit of a surprise. An announcement for PlayStation Home tomorrow, followed by a global release Thursday, just in time for the 7th anniversary of PlayStation Home's original closure on PS3. Again, this is just a wish list. It's not a guaranteed to happen list. It is a wish list, nothing more, nothing less. But with that being said, I hope you have enjoyed this. If you did, then like, comment, maybe subscribe if you'd like to. You don't have to. It's certainly appreciated, though. But in any case, I hope you all have a good night, good day, whatever it is for you. And see you later. Oh, and a slight update for the next episode of Radical Rewind Volume 2. It's not going to be Broken Reality. You're probably wondering, well, wait, why not? It's because of the fact that I already ended the first volume of Radical Rewind with Broken Reality, so doing that again would be a little weird. But rest assured, though, I will find something, and when I do find something that I want to play, it'll be special. Don't worry. Anyway, good night. See you guys later. Night.